Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Java. Thank you all kindly for joining me again. This is for Tuesday. It's April 2nd, 2024. First, I would like to mention the increase in the MMRI risk indicators now at 281.5. Treasuries yesterday had a spike. In the middle of the day, we also had the manufacturing numbers that came in high, showing a bit of a recovery. So, with all of this, the manufacturing kind of positive news for overall, basically, the US economy, at least normally it's positive news, put pressure on the stock markets. So, we're going to be really watching jobless claims coming in because these elevated manufacturing numbers are still having their reactions kind of ripple through the market, if you would. So, the volatility index did increase a bit. We watched gold and oil both increase significantly. So oil back over the $85 mark per barrel. And we're going to watch as this continues because Saudi has mentioned that they are continuing to restrict the supply. So this will keep an upward pressure on the price, at least for the time being. So we've got futures right now showing a bit of pressure. We're going to keep an eye on that 10-year as well as the relative strength of the dollar. So the interesting note at the moment, though, is that the dollar is going into resistance. So if the dollar weakens, that would be positive for the stock market. So right now, our fear grade index still in grade territory, but it did come down significantly yesterday. So today at 10 a.m., we've got factory orders, also watching, more importantly, in my opinion, job openings. So we've got Fed president speaking and also US auto sales. So really, we're going to be watching those job openings and then more employment numbers throughout the week. So with the Treasury yields, as it says here, we had the largest one-day jump in over a month, and we're still watching repercussions of that today. So with that, the energy, as it breaks above, hit above $88, not just with that going on, but the supply threats, everything going on with the Middle East. This is highly inflationary long term. So we have several experts basically not expecting this to come down anytime soon. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this as well. With the banks, we've got a few stories that are coming out with this. In particular, the yen. So I'm keeping a close eye on the Japanese yen. There are several stories in with this, and this could really put a ripple into the major global economy if they choose to take major action. So we do need to watch these. They've got Japan panel is calling for a shift away from stimulus-driven economy. Basically, they've had such a lax policy that they've been printing, so now the yen is weak. They did try to hike rates in order to give it a bit of strength, and that basically was a failure. So they're watching so they don't lose control of the yen. So if they really need to strengthen this, could cause some problems. So other story, we've got the World Bank set up to issue over $1 billion in a debt hybrid note later this year. So this basically cross currency, and they're kind of spreading out a bit. But along with this, we've got Brazil. They've got a new payment method. It's called PIX payments. So this story says it's killing cash, but to me, the larger story behind this is that it is issued directly from the central bank. It's called the PIX protocol. Came out in November 2020, but it's been basically becoming more sophisticated as it's come along. They've now mandated the banks to integrate with this, and they're using digital transfers for all of this. So they're talking about it replacing credit cards, but it's much, much larger, in my opinion, because this is a framework and basically it is an example for the CBDCs that were rolled out in larger economies, if you would, and it's very successful. So I expect this to be kind of growing and then also being modeled for other countries as well. So looking into the real business and economy, we've got China, Xiaomi's electric vehicles that came out. They're doing very well, good numbers, spike this morning. If you're trading this, the move is probably over for the moment, so urging caution with that. However, this was a cell phone company in China, and now that they've launched this vehicle, it's kind of opening the doors, and kind of that's why I have Apple as the next story, because Apple was talking about a car not too long ago. So they've recently had a lot of bad press, bad stories, but I think Apple's got some growth coming ahead of it. I'll be watching that one. So they've also got a new artificial intelligence model that is not really being spoken about. So that could have movement in that stock if you're in that space. So along with this, I'd like to talk about OpenAI. They've now opened an office in Tokyo. They're pushing global growth. And what you have to keep in mind with them is they are now hand in hand with Microsoft. So their moves going global, I'm not really in particular happy with that, because I don't think that their moves are necessarily beneficial for the space, more monopolistic in its values. So moving forward, we've got China industrial upswing is latest sign of economic recovery for China. So kind of masking what's going on in the background, Country Garden is the developer that was going bankrupt not too long ago, and they've suspended their shares selling on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So as most of you know, Hong Kong kind of a separate area. Um, for economics, it's undergone a lot of change and a lot of basically rebellion lately. But keeping in mind the two tied together, showing basically the power of the state or the PBOC with the industrial upswing and the numbers they're reporting, as opposed to shutting down the shares of their still troubled uh, real estate sector. So going into wars and global wars, going to hear about this. Basically, what happened was there was an attack on the embassy in Damascus. So Israel directly bombing in Syria. They say they took out general, but in the larger picture, now they've expanded this war. It's going directly into Iran. Moscow condemning this. They did assassinate the Iranian generals, and this is basically could escalate very rapidly. But we know from other things, and if you believe in prophecy with the Bible, this is uh, straight out of Isaiah, basically, Damascus being attacked. So want to go on with a couple other updates before I let you go. Expanding on this, I had the concern over food and water with Europeans. We've got a court approving a 3M settlement over the forever chemicals in the water, public water drinking systems. So bringing to light this major settlement that they polluted these systems that everybody's drinking. Nobody's going to see uh, a dime of this. It's going all to the public water systems, but I doubt we're going to see any major improvement over this. So still filter your own water and look for alternate sources if you can. Be aware of what's going on with this. And with this, we've got the SEC moving to regulate the future of farming. So small farms are under attack. They're attacking the food supply. And this is all under the guise of basically the global agenda. Again, carbon emissions. They're going to try to reduce the number of cattle eventually, and also small garden farming. So these are the same people that, in the same breath, talking about how much cattle and backyard gardening are bad for the environment, they're bombing massively other sides of the world. And this is not a global carbon problem, apparently. So disagree with that, but it is what it is at the moment. So with that, wish you all a green trading day. If you're trading, please hit the like if you haven't yet. I appreciate you all being here and all of the support. You guys are just wonderful. If you would leave a comment on any of this, and I appreciate you all. Until I see you again, stay free.